Thank you, thank you. We're so excited to have you guys on here. We're going to be talking to Mary Pauline Lowry. If you didn't know that already, hopefully you're in the right place. We're so excited to have her on. We're going to be talking about this great new fiction book, the Roxy Letters that she wrote. Oh, Englewood, Colorado. Hey, that's where I am. Minneapolis. I got lots of friends up in Minneapolis. This is great. I'm loving it. At one point, I think it'd be really fun if I did some sort of map of the people that joined in on our live streams or something, did a picture or a pin of all the people. That'd be really cool at some point. But that would be a lot of work, so we'll see. But thank you guys for joining us. We're going to be talking to Mary Pauline Lowry really soon. Another Denverite. There we go. That's awesome. Denver, Minneapolis, North Carolina, England. Holy cow, we've gone international, guys. It's amazing. So, hi. Oh, Mary just joined us. We're going to be asking you to join in just a hot second after I finish the intro here. And then we're going to go ahead and get this live stream going. So, it's 5 o'clock. We're so excited to have you guys. We just are so grateful for this continuous support on our live streams with these author events. How wonderful that we live in an age with this kind of technology. It's kind of crazy to think that if we tried to do this, so many years ago, that we would not be able to have this kind of connection. Ironically enough, it's made at least me connect with more people in my life than I ever would have thought before that. We're so excited to be here. Thank you guys again. So we are here celebrating the Roxy Letters by Mary Pauline Lowry. And the book came out last week, and it's great. I finished it. It's wonderful. You guys, you're going to really enjoy it, and I'm excited to talk to Mary Pauline. So just a little bit about what's going on at Tattered Cover. My name is McKaylee Osley. I'm the Director of Marketing and Events at Tattered. Hi. You guys have been having live stream events with both me and my colleague Afton, who is the she's the adult front list buyer. And so we've been being in conversation with all these different authors, and we have some more coming up, which is really exciting. We have one on Thursday that we're actually we just kind of got into the works of, so we're going to be announcing that. We have some in May already, which is very exciting as well. And we just love that you guys are continuing to watch us on here. So thank you so much for that. Also, thank you so much for your continued support at tattercover.com. We are moving to an online-only business, which is what a lot of businesses are having to do right now, which is a whole other ball of wax. We are used to being brick and mortar, being able to recommend books and put them physically in your hands. And so this is a different endeavor for us. So we really thank you guys for your patience as we navigate this world of online shopping. So you can order books online from us at tatteredcover.com. You get free shipping on orders that are $10 or over, which is really just awesome. Basically, buy a book and you get free shipping. That's easy. And then, so our phone lines are also shut down. We are online only exclusively. Curbside pickup is also shut down due to the continuous Colorado stay-at-home mandate, but we will ship your books. And you can select the shipping option that's on there. Our website, due to the awesome number of orders we have, which is so great, is the website is open Tuesdays at 10 a.m. through Saturdays at 5 p.m. So what that means is that you can still log on to tattercover.com and put items in your cart, but you can't purchase them until 10 a.m. tomorrow morning. Those are all in mountain times because that's where we're located. What that does is that gives us a little bit of time in our flagship location to package the books and get the orders out to you guys. So we really appreciate your grace as we have our website open for those 5 days out of the week. And so I want to quickly talk about these live streams and why we're doing this because, and Afton said it, you've heard me say it if you've joined us for other live streams, but art is a survival resource, truly. And we, as lovers of stories and books, firmly believe that as we share these live streams with you guys. And that's why we're booksellers, because we love these, we love sharing these stories. And it's something that's vitally important, and it has very few safety nets right now in our world. And so we're here to affirm that creative work. tell everybody and remind them that it's essential, and we want to elevate this. We want that to be our top priority here. And we know that there are many different forms of art, and books and storytelling is obviously our forefront, and we also want to highlight different genres. You know, we've had nonfiction authors, we've had fiction authors, you know, we've got this amazing women's fiction rom-com, not really. It's we'll talk about it. It's, you know, all these different books and these different genres so that you can celebrate the art that speaks to you. And, you know, we also believe that our communities need books right now as much as they need independent bookstores, we need your business. But right now, this is something that we want to give to you. We are a community space, and while our community may be online right now, we want to still give that back to you and still create a space where we can talk about books and stories, and we're just so grateful that you guys are here. So thank you for continuing to do this with us. Just so you're aware, this video is going to be available on our Instagram for 24 hours, and then afterwards we're going to post it to our YouTube channel, where there will be accurate closed captioning as well for anyone who might need it. So, just so you're aware, the events that we're going to have, we have one on Thursday, April 16th, which we're announcing right now. We have author Max Berry, who's the author of his new book, Providence. And then in May, on May 6th, we're going to have Amy Meyerson, who's the author of The Imperfects. So put those on your calendar, and we'll be getting those up on social media soon. But now, I want to invite Mary Pauline Lowry, who is our guest of honor. A little bit about her is that Mary Pauline was born and raised in Austin, Texas. She's the author of the Roxy Letters, which is what we're going to be talking about today. She has an MA in English and Creative Writing from the University of Texas and an MFA in Creative Writing from Boise State University. Holy crap, she's a hardworking student. I admire her. She's also the author of the novel Wildfire and was a regular contributor to O Magazine. And her works appeared in like the New York Times, the New York Times Magazine, The Millions, and other publications as well. And so, like I said, we are here to celebrate the Roxy Letters and talk about those. So I'm going to invite Mary Pauline to this chat, and we're going to get started. Let me see here. Come on, search. Why isn't it? Okay. I can find her. I promise. Oh, find her. There she is. Add. All right. Thank you guys so much for your patience. There she look at your sunglasses.
Hi. Thanks so much for having me. How's it going?
Oh, it's going really great. You look fabulous.
Well, thank you. And your intro was so beautiful and inspiring. And I love how you talked about art being something that we need for survival. It just was very beautiful, and I appreciate it.
Oh, thank you for saying that. It's something that Afton, you know, really spearheaded, and it's something that, you know, we as Tattered Cover firmly believe in, and we love hearing that from the author. So thank you so much, because we want to celebrate what you do, and it means so much to us. So thank you.
Well, back at you. I really, really appreciate the support.
Yes.
I was hoping to come in real life, and this is the next best thing.
Yes, this is like I said, you know, we are a community space in Denver, and we firmly believe that. And if we can't have our community space physically, we'll have it virtually. So, well, I would love it if we could start off by you just giving like a short summary about what the Roxy Letters is about, and then maybe give us a bit of a reading, a taste of what it is.
Yeah, that sounds good. So my novel, The Roxy Letters, it's a comedic novel, and it is it's narrated by a woman named Roxy, and she's writing letters to her ex-boyfriend, Everett. Now, Everett is living with her and failing to pay his rent on time, and is just generally blocking her mojo. And she works at Whole Foods. Now, this is back before the Amazon takeover, when Whole Foods was still, you know, an indie business that had originated in Austin. I mean, it was a big business, but it was still like had been a local business. And she's really proud of all the local businesses in Austin, and she wants Austin to stay indie. So when her favorite video store closes down and is replaced by a Lululemon, she decides that she has to take action and try to drive the Lululemon out and get an indie store in the space. So
Awesome.
that is the premise. Yes.
Love
and,
it.
Yeah. Oh, go ahead.
You know, I was going to say, I was like, do you have a section that you might want to start us off with to give us kind of
Sure.
a tone and a feel for the book?
Yeah, I'll just read the first page. It's just a couple paragraphs. So this is Roxy's first letter to Everett. June 14th, 2012, regarding ground rules. Dear Everett, perhaps I've invited you to move into my spare bedroom against my better judgment. But while living with an ex-boyfriend is never a good idea, I really need the money. Last week, Roscoe, that irascible little wiener dog, ate not one, but 2 pairs of my underwear, and my fancy thongs at that. The resulting $600 emergency room vet bill, combined with my barely over minimum wage employment and sizable mortgage, has made a housemate a financial necessity. When you call to report you're getting kicked out of your highly desirable backyard shack, aka the Bat Cave, because your landlady's daughter called dibs, the perfect timing of our crises was like a sign from Venus. While normally I would have reservations about the possibility of a successful platonic roommate situation between former lovers, it's been years since we broke up, and we've been getting along great since reuniting as friends. So I have high hopes we can both handle this mutually beneficial and temporary living arrangement.
Dun, dun, dun. That's awesome. I like I said, I read the book, and it's such a, at its core, I firmly believe that this feels like it's a love letter to Austin. Because even though it is this novel of all of Roxy's letters, because that's what the whole novel is her writing to Everett, whether he sees the letters or not. But it is this just, I don't know. I've never been to Austin. I hate to say it. I want to go because I have friends there and I want to go see Book People, which gets like at least 2 or 3 mentions in this book. And it's something that you fall in love with the city as much as Roxy loves it. And so I'd love to know what it was like writing about your hometown, and how did you decide what businesses and what parts of the city to include, especially in 2012, it being 8 years ago.
So for me, it was really important to write about all these businesses in Austin that I love. So of course, I used to work at Book People, so Book People gets mentions. A lot of the book is set right at the intersection of 6th and Lamar, where Book People is. So I mentioned like Amy's Ice Creams and Waterloo Records. Crystal Works down the street is a place where Roxy loves to go get crystals to put on her Venus altar. I talk a lot about Thundercloud Subs, which is like a local sub shop. So it was just really, really fun to, like you said, write a love letter to this town where I'm from, and also all the places that I think make it a really great, unique place.
No, that's so, it's so great because we had Kali Fajardo Einstein on here.
Oh, yeah.
Her book is sort of in the same way a love letter to Denver, in
Yep.
a tone of picking out different places. And it's really unique to get those books that aren't just LA or New York or, some small made up town in Ohio. It's really like places that we love and businesses that we love. So came across very clear in the book.
I am honored for you to mention my book and Kali's in the same sentence. Sabrina and Carino is so powerful, and Kali writes so beautifully about these women like coming up in this hard scrabble situation where they're just like making the best of in such difficult times. But anyway, yes, and it was so rooted in place. But my family has been in Austin for 4 generations, and so
Wow.
Again, it was just like delightful to get to really write about how and why I love it there so much.
And so but thinking about that though, is that you could have taken a lot of forms with this book of how you wanted to write about Austin and write about Roxy. Why did you pick an epistolary novel, which for those of you who don't know is a novel written, a story told in letters? and it's a very centralized view of the story. And so what gravitated you towards that format?
So I think the background is I've always really loved novels in letters. The first one that I fell in love with as a kid was The Color Purple, which is obviously a much more serious kind of book, but it had a big impact on me. And then I read all 4 of the Bridget Jones novels like a billion times, and then 2 other books. Where'd You Go, Bernadette, I really studied for form. Yeah. But because that's a newer novel, it's not one that I've read like a ton of times. But another book that I just adore is A Confederacy of Dunces. And it's not epistolary, but it contains many letters from Ignatius to his like frenemy girlfriend, Myrna Minkoff. And so I think I just had that form as like something that's really lends itself to comedy. And so when I wrote the first Roxy letter, I was teaching my undergrads, and I gave them an in-class writing assignment, and I did it with them. It was like to write a letter from a quirky person to someone they were mad at. And I wrote the letter, and I just like, it hit my funny bone. And so I kept writing them. So it wasn't anything that I like planned intellectually. It just sort of happened. But I think it happened because I love so many epistolary novels, and I love so many funny ones. Another great one is Dear Committee Members by Julie Schumacher, and the entire book is written in letters of recommendation from like a disgruntled English professor. So I think the form really lends itself to like funny antics.
I think it's great. It makes me think of some YA ones that I enjoyed when I was younger. Like there was Snail Mail No More, and there's The Year of Secret Assignments, and just like other books that play with form in that way. And so that was really appealing about your novel as well. But I have to ask, why her ex-boyfriend? It is such a weird, and someone else mentioned it on here too, like I cannot imagine my ex-boyfriend living with me. I can't even imagine like writing the letters. Where did that come from? It sounds like from this assignment, but why Everett?
So Austin, like it's growing and changing and kind of stepping it up, but it's been for decades and decades sort of a hotbed of like kind of slackery artist types, right?
Fair.
And we're often underemployed, we're often scrambling, and end up doing kind of ridiculous things sometimes to make ends meet. And so having an ex move in just seems like quintessentially like something that I would have done, or that my people would do. And by my people, I just mean like artists trying to get by. And having her write letters to him, at first there's a real reason. Like he doesn't have a cell phone, and she's trying to convey information about them living together, or tell him her complaints. But then after a while, there's no real reason. It becomes absurdist that she's like still writing him these letters, and it's really more of a diary. But she's not a personality type that would admit that she was writing a diary, whereas she really likes like bloviating and complaining. So, she does her diary in this way. So that's just kind of silly.
No, but it's a great silly, because I try and think about, oh my gosh, if I tried to do that, like I don't even know what I would say, but probably start off being mad at them. But by doing it in this format, you got to dive deeper, probably than most artists do, into Roxy's voice. She's a unique one. And I wonder if you could speak on that process of finding her voice and how you want her messages and stuff to come off to the reader.
So finding her voice, like her voice kind of found me. And so I wrote that first letter, and she just spoke fully formed, and I never really had to think like, oh, what's she like, or what would she say? It was just like clear. She was coming loud and clear through me. And she makes offerings to Venus, who is a planetary deity that she works with, and I had been making offerings to Venus, and I just felt like the voice like came to me, perhaps from Venus. And her voice is like, I do like to use the word bloviate, because she is complaining.
That's a great word.
In a way that's like, I think, pleasing and funny. And she just also has a lot of these really kind of half-baked and and conflicting ideas about things. Like, for example, corporatism. Like, she really strongly believes that Whole Foods is like still an indie business, even though by 2012 it was, you know, clearing well over $1 billion a year.
Yeah.
But she's loyal, and in her heart that is true. So she has many ideas about things that are sort of wacky. And she's well educated and a little underemployed, which I think can make for fun ranting. Yeah.
Yep. Some of the situations that Roxy gets herself into are so absurd. But yet some of them are so relatable. Like, there's this one incident, without giving anything away, she goes to the wrong restaurant that she's supposed to meet somebody at.
Oh yeah.
Wrong location, right?
Yeah.
Which is something very like casual that would happen, but it makes for these really hilarious moments. Then there's these orgasm conventions that are just so far, it feels very, very sitcom-y and absurd. But so I want to know, how did you find the balance between these like regular human errors and these like ridiculous, crazy movie-like scenarios, fantastical scenarios she finds herself in? Because there's humor in both. And how did you play with both of them?
And I think, you know, it could be argued that I take things too far, or, you know, maybe I take them the perfect amount depending on like what a person likes. But so yeah, like, for example, you know, as you mentioned, Roxy gets involved in this sex cult and ends up not just like at a meeting of the sex cult, but of a convention of the sex cult where there are like hundreds of people participating in this like rather bizarre, you know, masturbation ritual. And, you know, it's based on a real sex cult that has real conventions where they do this sort of thing. So even though it is so wacky and far out, it is something that happens. And I do think that it's fun to have kind of a blundering character that ends up with these mishaps, whether they be small mishaps like, where are my keys, or larger mishaps like, oh my God, how did I end up getting masturbated by like an old Australian in a room full of 600 people that are doing the same. You know.
I felt her anxiety of, what am I doing?
Yeah, you know, she popped a Xanax and like her inhibitions were down.
Yeah.
And next thing you know, she was making bad choices. But you know, it could happen to any of us.
Well,
or not.
No, we're not. Well, let's touch on the topic of sex. Warning to anyone who doesn't want to watch from here on out. But, you know, this book is very open about sex and Roxy's sexual exploration and her freedoms. It's a large part of her journey. And it was refreshing to read about that in a women's fiction novel. And, you know, did you have any reservations about including it? Did you feel very empowered? Did you get any pushback from that at all?
So I do think, you know, it's not something that is going to go over well with every reader. So I have seen like people write reviews online where they say, oh gosh, there's too much sex in this. So, you know, if someone doesn't like sex in a book, this is not going to be for them. But I was writing this book in my MFA program. So I would turn in pages, you know, to my male professor and my 12 colleagues, and then we would like get together and talk about it. And it was really funny because all the men were like, oh, this book should be about the sex cult. Like, she should get a job leading the sex cult. And the women are just like, no. But at my MFA thesis defense, one of my male professors was like, so basically her journey in the book seems to be like, her goal is just to like have an orgasm in the room with a man. And so there are just some cringy and hilarious like things that happened along the way. But overall, I didn't get a lot of pushback. If anything, like my MFA cohort seemed to think it was funny, and they were encouraging. They liked this much better than like the serious literary stories I had been turning in. Like as soon as I turned in these pages, they were like, yes, Mary, like do this. And that was really, really helpful. Yeah.
That's gotta feel rewarding too, after, you know, trying to take this chance on this character, you know, who you obviously bond with and spend all this time with, to feel validated from your co-writers. That's really cool to hear that. But I just, like I said, I thought it was just really refreshing to hear about her whole journey of, you know, whether it was finding love, getting an orgasm, getting a job. But then one of my most fascinating paths when reading this book was her artistic journey. Because Roxy's an artist, and but she has this mental block, as writers get writer's block, you know, as artists do. And I'd love it if you could talk about, did you pull from your own experiences with artist block? How did that writing, that journey as an artist, make you feel? What it seemed very vital for you to include it in this part. Obviously, with Austin being all artisty.
Yeah, for sure. So, so Roxy she has kind of two issues. One, she has artistic block that has been, it's happened because her ex-boyfriend stole one of her pieces of art and has been using it to sell a product that has animal products in it. She's a vegan. So, so she's so traumatized she can't make her art anymore. But she also struggles because even when she was making art, she couldn't make a living off of her art. And I have experienced both of those things. I've had periods where it was very difficult to get any writing done. Usually when I finish a project, I have to wait till the new project comes to me. So I'll show up at the page and like try to write stuff that isn't good. And it's so sad and frustrating. But also I've had decades of being someone who's writing a lot and has my main focus in life has been writing for 20 years. But until recently, I haven't made any money doing that. And so I've always had to have full-time employment that like shelters my writing.
Yep.
And so that's just a struggle that I've lived with for a really long time. So I think it makes sense that my character would have a similar struggle.
No, it's great because it really gives her different relatable avenues and makes her a whole complete character. And it's not, I'm just seeking a boyfriend or I'm just seeking this artistic fulfillment. It really makes her feel like a well fleshed out human being. This is a silly question, but I'd love to know what inspired the names Roscoe for the wiener dog and Charlize Theron for the cat, because those are great names for pets.
Well, thanks. I mean, Roscoe, I don't know where it came from. Like, when I was a kid, I watched a lot of Dukes of Hazzard, and there was like the Roscoe Pico train. I don't know, the name Roscoe is just funny. So that didn't have any serious like rooting, but Charlize Theron, that is Roxy's cat. Like that name was very important to me because for many years I worked on the National Domestic Violence Hotline in Austin, and I love Charlize Theron as an actor, but I also have read that when she was a child, she was present when her mother killed her father in self-defense. Oh, and wow. I think and I may be getting the story wrong, but my understanding or my memory of it was that she and her mother were in a bathroom and her father was like shooting through the door at them. And somehow her mother killed her father to save both of them. And the fact that Charlize Theron has taken that tragic life experience and used it to make incredible art is something that just means the world to me. I love to watch her in films. And so I just wanted to, you know, pay tribute to her in some small way, even though it's a silly way.
I think it's great. Can you allude to any other Easter eggs that we might want to keep out for, like certain businesses or certain, you know, I don't know, just any other things that you would want to mention that you're like, oh, nobody's going to pick up on that, but I wish that they would know why I named the cat Charlize Theron or why I picked this particular thing?
That's a great question. So I have Roxy. So Roxy, she's a fictional character. She's made up, but she and I have some overlap on our biographies. So she grew up working at Barton Springs, which is this natural spring-fed swimming pool in downtown Austin, where I grew up working. And like her, I also used to work at Thundercloud Subs, where I slung a lot of thunder sauce, which is like the sauce that goes on the sandwich. And I'm trying to think, like, what else, what other small, funny things. I mean, I love to pull, like, little snippets of stories that I hear and put them in things. Well, Roxy, go ahead.
I picked up on the Confederacy of Dunces one because we had a customer post on our Facebook saying, "Oh, she wrote this really great article about the Confederacy of Dunes." And so when I was reading the book, I was like, "Oh, hey, she likes that one." I felt like I was in a joke or something.
Oh yay, yeah, I love Confederacy of Dunces.
I knew what I was. You knew what I was saying.
I know what you meant, but yes, I wrote an essay for LitHub that came out a few days ago about a Confederacy of Dunces, and John Kennedy Toole's the author's, you know, quest to try to publish that book and how that has influenced me, which was really fun.
Yeah, that's awesome. The last question I have before I want to move on, we have a great list from customers. I would love to talk about the female friendships in this book because I think it's an underrated topic. And Roxy has a line in the book, and if I were smarter, I would have copied it and then read it word for word. But she talks about the value of female friendships and the value of having girlfriends. And I wonder if you could speak to that philosophy and what that means in your book and maybe what it might mean in your own life.
For sure. I mean, this is a topic that I could carry on about for a long time. For the epigraph for the book, the epigraph is, "There's nothing more powerful than true friendship." And that's Amanda Yates Garcia, who is the Oracle of Los Angeles, is her professional name. And I really think that that is one of the underpinnings of the book. And for me, you know, having reliable female allies means the world to me. And it's life-changing, it's transforming, it's incredibly helpful. And Roxy, while this is a rom-com, you know, her true love throughout the book really is with her two best female friends. And I just see in my life and in my friendships, I just get so much from my friends. My friends support me professionally, spiritually, emotionally, and that is really what pulls Roxy through in her darkest hours. You know, it's not a Prince Charming who comes and saves her when she's at her lowest low. It's her, you know, best friends and some wacky getup that are like busting her out of this prison.
And a smoke bomb.
Yeah, with a smoke bomb. You know, of course, like your girls do when you need them, they get out the smoke bomb. So yeah, I'm glad that that was something that you enjoyed. And again, it just, I feel like the older I get, the larger crew of friends I have, and again, the more reliable they are as allies to me, and the more that I can really try to go to bat for them. And I wanted to convey that in a fictionalized way.
I think that you did a great job with that. It's something that has been pertinent in my life, that has been taught to me by the women in my life, and I've, you know, recognized it in other books, you know, everything from Yaya Sisterhood to Day After Night to, you know, it's really wonderful to see that core group of female friends. And it's really the relationship, even though it's a rom-com, the book is, it's really the female friendships are the relationships that you're rooting for. So on that note, I'd love to, we're going to shift to our audience questions that we have here. We did take questions on our Instagram stories today. If you have a burning question, there's a little box with a question mark on it. If you could type that in there instead of in the comments, then we can see it that way. But one of the questions that people want to know is, what songs do you think Roxy would have on her playlist right now?
Okay, so Heavy Metal Drummer by Wilco is one of her favorite songs. And in the book, there's a whole thread where, you know, she has a crush on this drummer. So what else songs would be on Roxy's playlist? That is a great question. So I feel like Roxy would sort of like love-hate songs that are on like the soundtracks of kids movies, like the Justin Timberlake, like I Got Sunshine in My Pocket from Trolls.
Yes.
Like she would love to hate that. Since this is set in 2012, like she's a big fan of Pitch Perfect, so probably anything from the first two Pitch Perfect movies. The third Pitch Perfect, I think Roxy would not approve of because it was not up to snuff. But the first two, she would have all of that on repeat. So like stuff that's anything that was like upbeat, and kind of like poppy and fun, I think that she would be digging right now. I think she, like the rest of us, she would probably be looking for the small joys, and music can definitely provide a small joy.
Absolutely. I'd be lying if I said when I was getting my face on and getting ready that I wasn't like dancing around to some crap pop music too, prepping yourself up. But so what, I don't know how to transition off of that now. But so, okay, you're talking about finding the little joys. What are you reading right now that is bringing you joy?
Okay, that's a great question. I have stacks of book right here. So right now, I'm reading Barn 8 by Deb Olin Unferth. She lives in Austin too. I have never met her, but I have a total writer crush on her. And this is about a bunch of activists who try to pull off a heist to steal 1 million chickens in one night from an egg farm. So that is something I'm excited about. Okay, hang on. Next on my TBR pile is, oh, go ahead.
I said, I love it that you came prepared. That makes me so happy to have the show and tell.
I just have like stacks of books on the floor, but this one I haven't read yet. This is The Jet Setters by Amanda Iyer Ward. She's also from Austin. We're like email friends, but I've never met her, but I'm really excited to read that. And then the book that I'm like most excited about comes out April 28th, and it's called The Knockout Queen by Ruthie Thorpe. And it is just extremely hilarious and powerful and moving. And I would just highly recommend anyone who could pre-order that to do that.
Okay, I need to add it to my TBR.
Okay, yes, seriously, she's amazing and brilliant. It's her third novel. Knopf is publishing it. But of her 3 books, this one is like exponentially the best. And that's high praise because I was already a huge fan.
So Roxy is a bit of a prankster. She might not think she is, but she pulls off some good ones. Have you pulled off any pranks in your life that you care to share about?
Okay, this one's going way back, but okay, so my sister in high school had like a frenemy sort of crush on this guy named Ben Cannati. And it was when Clayton Williams was running for governor against Ann Richards. And Ann Richards is a Democratic, she was like a Democratic idol. She was like this big-haired old lady who was an AA, super liberal and cool. And so my sister's like frenemy crush, Ben Cannati, had a Clayton Williams bumper sticker on his car. So we snuck to his car and put an Ann Williams bumper sticker over it, and then we were just like really delighted and proud that he would be like driving around his big old pickup truck with his Ann Richards bumper sticker. So that's one that comes to mind, but it's not Roxy level. Like her pranks are a little bit more malicious than mine have ever been. Like she's got a revenge, like a talent for revenge.
Almost.
Yeah, that I do not have really. I'm pretty love and light.
Yeah. Well, no, but she has some valid reasons for the stunts she pulls. I feel like those escalated quickly.
Yeah.
And it involves her dog. That one, I was like, you have every right. Get them, girl.
Well, thank you. I think she thinks so too, and I like her sassy ways. I'm just not quite as aggressive as she is, but that's okay.
This one feels like asking which child is your favorite child, but one of the questions we got was, what is your favorite place to go in Austin when you visit?
Oh, so I do always go to Book People and usually buy a couple of books and browse around. There's so many places. So Magnolia Cafe is kind of a go-to place that I've eaten ever since I was a kid that I always love to go to. Barton Springs is a stop. I go to Deep Eddy Cabaret just to kind of keep it real and have a beer in an environment that has not been made glamorous. So those are a few spots.
Yes, I feel like that I'll email you later and I'll be like, I need a list. I'm going to Austin. What are the recommendations from a
Yay,
local?
please do.
You're mentioning all these places and it makes me think of, you know, like what would I recommend in my city?
In Denver.
So,
yeah.
So
what would you recommend? Like for people that are watching? Yeah.
Okay, so one of my favorite places is this place called Green Russell, which is a speakeasy under a pie shop. And so
awesome.
yeah, so they have this great thing called Bartender's Choice where you can go in and just tell the bartender what you're feeling like drinking and they'll like make you something, which is so cool. My friends and I have a great story about our friend who doesn't like whiskey and the bartender totally tricked her by getting her a whiskey drink she liked, and it's a whole thing, but that's one of my favorite places. I love to go gnome hunting in the Denver Nature and Science Museum because the background artist painted little gnomes in the backgrounds of some of the exhibits. And so I take people and we go gnome hunting around the museum. And the museum also has my favorite view of Denver in the mountains. So, yeah.
Cool.
Those are my recommendations. Let's see. What else do we got? Oh, have you ever written a letter to your ex-boyfriend?
I mean, sure. Who hasn't? Not lately. I'll just say probably the last letter to an ex-boyfriend was written in 2012 when this book is set. So maybe that's part of the reason it's set in 2012 is like, that was the last time I felt those sort of vibes.
Yeah, makes total sense, especially if it was a pertinent time in your life. And, you know, it's weird to think that 2012, you probably had to do some research on cell phones at the time and different technological advances, you know, because I was thinking about it and I was like, oh, wow, there was a lot of different things going on even just 8 years ago. So I bet that took some of its own research as well.
Yeah, because you're right. Technology is moving so quickly, but that is the year, 2012 is the year that I met my husband and moved and left Austin. And so I remembered when I thought back to that time, I could remember very clearly like what businesses were open at that moment and how phones worked because it was really a moment where my life changed. So I remembered what things were like right then.
That's a great way to have it cemented in your memory. So last question before we move on to your last reading is what's next for you? Are we getting more Roxy or is something else on the horizon?
So I was working on a long project again. And then once my book came out, now I've just been doing kind of full-time book promoting and writing essays and all that kind of stuff. But hopefully once things calm down, I will get back to my long project. And it is not Roxy related, although I would love to write a sequel because she's just a really fun character to write.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's awesome. I would love it if you could give us one more little snippet, a little teaser from your book.
Okay, so I am going to read just the paragraph where Roxy realizes that her mission in life is to try to oust the Lululemon from the intersection of 6th and Lamar.
Nice.
July 5th, 2012. Dear Everett, thank you for the rent. Only 5 days late. And for loaning me your copy of the brand new Dear Sugar book to keep me occupied until this head cold recedes. You're the only man I've ever met who loves Cheryl Strayed's compassionate and inspiring advice as much as I do. Today, as I lay on the couch, reading and sipping beer to ease my sore throat, Dear Sugar's exhortation that the best thing you can possibly do with your life is to tackle the motherfucking shit out of it reminded me that the thing I most want to tackle, to the ground, is the new Lululemon. As Dear Sugar encouraged me and all her readers to get unstuck, I began to ponder my lack of direction and general sense of malaise. Perhaps the answer lies in my righteous anger. Perhaps my great work just might be to rid the intersection of 6th Street and Lamar Boulevard of that corporatist fuck Lululemon and return it to a local business in tune with the funky nature of Austin.
Woohoo! Well, you guys need to go and order Roxy Letters by Mary Pauline Lowry from your local independent bookstore. Mary Pauline, I cannot thank you enough for being on here, for answering the questions and the serious questions. People are going to enjoy this book, and it's a great pick-me-up during quarantine. So,
well, thank you. That's what I hope. Thank you so much for having me. I'm really, really grateful for you.
Oh, our pleasure, truly. So pick up the Roxy Letters from your nearest independent bookstore. They can deliver it. Many of us have transitioned to online. You can order it at tatteredcover.com. And we thank you guys so much for joining us. Our next live stream is on Thursday, April 16th, again at 5 p.m. on Instagram with Max Berry. So thank you again, Mary Pauline, and we hope you guys stay safe, wash your hands, and stay healthy.
Thank you.
Bye, guys.